Ecco. Hello, good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How
How
are
are
you?
you?
Or
It's
good afternoon.
a good afternoon for us. Good morning for you. It's very early.
That's
Ah,
okay.
it's okay, you said. But I checked that the sunrise in in Colorado will be at 10 minutes to 7. So it's night, still night. Okay, thank you. We are very honored and happy to see you with us, to share your long time and deep knowledge on management accounting and in the last years how IC tools works in daily activity of the controller. Which benefits, which challenges, which risk, ethics. This is your presentation. I suggested that you present yourself. I just only introduce you very shortly, but your curriculum vitae, your bio, is so long. It's very difficult to explain. Please, it's your time.
All right, I'll begin.
Okay, perfect.
All right. First of all,
Ah, perfect, perfect.
can everyone hear me?
Yes, perfect, everything.
Excellent. All right. So this afternoon for your session, I would like to talk about AI best practices for management accountants. And this is updated for 2025. And the developments that continue to occur, it seems, by the second in this field. So I'm an assistant professor of management at the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, which is in the middle of the country. And I've been very active in management accounting activity for many years and have worked on a number of international initiatives, such as an ISO for audit data collection, and have very broad research interests. But if anything characterizes me, uh, 30 years ago, I got fed up with the IT department because you always had to go to them if you needed something for your data or your information. And I thought, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to become a software engineer and I'm going to understand what they do. And the description of that is I'm going to learn how to beat them at their own game and be able to leverage this knowledge for the accounting department. And that's what I've been doing ever since. And one of my passions is to stay up to date on the developing topics in technology and also to ensure that all of my students are technology ready for the accounting profession, whether it be management accounting or regular financial accounting. Uh, the views expressed in this presentation are mine and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Air Force, the Space Force, the Department of Defense, or the government. And this is approved for public release. The picture on the right, those are fighter jets. That is the Thunderbird Precision Team. And yesterday afternoon, at a little after noon, they flew over my house. And let me tell you, they are very, very loud. All right, so let's begin discussing AI best practices. And I have quite a list today. and I'll discuss each one of the topics that is listed and then address any questions that you might have. First of all, the AI genie is out of the bottle. AI is everywhere. You can't get away from it. You may be intimidated by it. You may not understand it. You may not like it. You may be afraid of it, but it's not going to go away. And we, as management accountants, must adapt to this incredible, explosive technological change that is taking place. If you feel intimidated by it, so many accountants do feel intimidated by it. And the topics I'm talking about this afternoon will provide you with some ideas about how you can react and get control of this. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. It's out. The most important thing that your organization can do is to adopt a proactive AI strategy. This is absolutely critical. And I'm going to give you some ideas about how you can do that. AI, we have your company or your organization, we have your strategy, and we have AI. And you have to integrate all three of them. Here's some simple things to think about when you're doing this. You need to have a strategy and then assess your current AI strategy and your AI future goals. You also need to make sure that this process is massive company-wide planning process. We can't just have somebody sit in their office with a closed door interpreting how AI should operate integrate within your strategy. And I want to just talk about an example. I was at the IMA meeting in Nashville this past weekend, and a panel of entertainment industry executives spoke, and we asked them, what are they doing about AI? And they said it's really difficult because they're dealing with musical artists who live and breathe for their art, and they are behind. They know they need to address it. And very shortly, I'm going to provide a powerful ethics example of how it is directly impacting that industry. You urgently need to engage experts who understand AI. This technology is on a different level. We can certainly learn how to use Microsoft Word and PowerPoint and Excel, but this is on a really different level. It's a very, very high level. It's very complicated. It's moving very fast. And you need to engage AI tech experts, which leads to another major problem, which is finding those people and having them available to support you. Along with that, there are AI business application experts who will be able to relate to your industry or your organization and provide strong advice on what you can do to leverage your business with AI. And then there is many AI tools, including software and hardware, that are being developed, and you need them as well. So what I've done so far, and we're not very far into this, is I'm spending a lot of money for your organizations because none of this is cheap. The strategy must be aggressive, comprehensive, documented, and agile. This field is changing all the time. And there are a couple of areas on the right that recognize the breadth of activities that must be involved in this strategy. And it's going to take a comprehensive planning effort to make sure that these pieces fit together. You've got regulation, you've got the research and development. Probably the most urgent is to develop the skills and education, your digital infrastructure. And as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about this shortly, the ethical implications of this. But it must be immediate, aggressive, comprehensive, documented, and agile. Okay, next, let's talk about how to manage AI risks, because these are going to occur in places that you have not traditionally seen risks, and you must be able to define them, assess them, monitor them, and then mitigate them and reduce those risks. And this is not an every 5-year exercise. This must be on an ongoing basis. So you need to continually identify these and then develop strategies to react to them. Here are some perceptions from a 2025 Pew Research Center survey. This organization is based in Washington, D.C., highly respected, and identifies public interest topics and surveys the U.S. And these are the perceptions of people within organizations. They believe that AI erodes human abilities. It could have a negative impact on information accuracy. And as I use ChatGPT, it gives me the wrong answer. So that's an issue. You can't take for granted that the thing works and is accurate. It's possible the tables can be turned. This is a heaven-sent tool for scammers and hackers, because they can turn it and deploy it against organizations. The survey recipients also said they don't trust AI. They're concerned about safety and privacy, the negative environmental impact. I have in ethics, I have an example of that. And then it could cause equality and bias concerns based on how the AI algorithms or instructions or analysis is described. And then in general, people are tech phobic and they have a general dislike of AI. Here's another important point. We are pivoting from your traditional culture to build an AI-centric culture, because AI is going to invade all parts of your organization. It must be front and center for everything that you're doing. And if you look at the employees sitting around the table, that also means they must be able to understand it and have a mindset, an AI digital mindset that's operating side by side with any functional or process that they are working on. So what can we call represents characteristics of an AI-centric organizational culture? Earlier this year, Forbes magazine identified these, and they recommend balancing the data, culture, governance, flexibility, and that strategic AI plan that I talked about. They emphasize every decision is data driven. Now, somebody might decide to override that data, but that data is on the table and is an input to your decision. AI drives the company culture, and you must also ensure that you have AI governance and ethical frameworks that are monitoring and controlling what the people do. And one example that I like to use is that because this technology is so complicated and requires extremely brilliant technical people to run it, they could go rogue and do what they want to do, and you would never know what they're doing. So you need to have policies and procedures in place to control them. And some technical people, they're like the artists in Nashville. They like to be interested in what they're interested in and deploy that information for their purposes. And once you have that AI strategic plan, it's like any other strategic plan. It requires measurable objectives and KPIs that management accountants are so capable of creating to identify the performance and any issues you may be having. This is extremely critical, and that is you must demand ethical AI. I live in Colorado, and sometimes we call it the Wild West. And AI is the Wild West with the development. It has happened so fast. If you go back 2.5 years ago, it would be barely piquing your interest, and it could be misused. So, what I'd like to do is recommend promoting an ethical AI compass. And this is a quote from Gabriela Ramos from the United Nations. And she says, in no other field is ethical compass more relevant than in artificial intelligence. I have 3 case studies that I want to talk about briefly. And the purpose of this is to have sensitize you to look at issues. And as you're looking at AI and the use of the data and the gathering of the data and the application of the data, please use your ethical glasses, the lens, so that you are evaluating any possible implications that could be adverse ethically using the AI. This is the training data case. And the issue is the technology of AI is it must consume all of the data in the world. And that's what some of these big companies are doing. They're trying to consume data everywhere. And they cross the line when they consume the data. And that is exactly because they have to train the AI models. Before you can interpret them and apply the data analytics from the data, the models must be trained. And you have to have as much data as you possibly can. They are scraping the internet, they're doing all kinds of things. In this case, anthropic AI, which is a leading generative AI space, went out and helped itself to 500,000 books that were copyrighted and loaded them into their model. And they were sued for doing that. And they lost the lawsuit. And the settlement that they're discussing right now has agreed to pay $1.5 billion to these $500,000 authors, 1.5 billion US, approximately 1.86 billion euros to settle the copyright infringement lawsuit. And in Nashville, the entertainment attorney who was on the panel discussed this and said that this is very definitely an issue for the artists that her firm represents. And so in this case, it is books, but this could be company proprietary information in your company. Here's the AI ethics higher education case, and this is my case. So within the last 18 months, the students have discovered AI, and they're using it for everything. Homework, papers, and exams. I built an exam about 2 months ago, and I asked AI the answers to the question, and sure enough, AI had the answers to the questions, which meant that the students had, if they used AI. So my strategy is I lock down what they can use. I have strict time limits, and I also consider ethics a package deal. Yes, I have an issue with cheating, which is exactly what it is. And if any homework is late, I mark it down. If I find AI in an answer, automatic F. I have absolutely no grace within that. They don't get a second chance. They've been instructed, and if they're not allowed to use AI and I find AI and I use AI to find AI, I will fail the exam, fail the assignment or the exam. And I look at ethics as a comprehensive topic. And so not only am I dealing with AI, but I'm also dealing with other ethical behavior with the students. And so I adopt an AI ethical meter. Late assignments, yes, that doesn't have anything to do with AI, but using AI in the assignment also raises it. So if I can train them for the fundamentals to behave ethically, maybe I can keep them in line with using AI. I mentioned earlier that there's an environmental case, and this is the AI supercomputer case. Elon Musk has an AI company. It's called XAI, and he has built the largest data center in the world in Memphis, Tennessee. And the data center is polluting the neighborhood. It is also stressing the power grid, which means that they will probably have brownouts when it's hot and humid in Memphis during the summer. And this supercomputer site was built without Memphis City Council approval. They used the back door to allow Musk to build this data center. So these are the types of things, but this is another symptom of the newness of AI and the lack of controls and procedures that accountants live for. So what do we do? Well, Isaac Asimov, the famous science fiction writer, developed 3 laws of robotics, and they're very simple. And I'm recommending that you apply this to AI. And the first is a robot may not injure a human being or to deliver harm to a human being. The AI must obey any orders given to it because AI in its advanced form can make its own decisions independent of human actions. And thirdly, an AI must protect its own existence as long as it doesn't violate the first 2. Let's talk about the next point, which is to upskill and reskill your workforce. So if you're going to create an AI-centric culture in your organization, you need to train your workforce. And when I'm talking about that, we talked about the culture. You can leverage AI for process automation, and you can take the low-level tasks away from employees. So you can leverage their intelligence. Uh, Here is just a brief AI upskilling plan. You need to evaluate the skills gaps. And as I said earlier, I'm spending all of your money. You need a big euro investment, tools, software, AI experts. You must have mandatory training, and it needs to be continuous. And it's very important that you reward the performers and the innovators. And you need to provide incentives, because what's going to happen if you do a really good job reskilling and upskilling your employees, they will be targets to be recruited to other organizations. They will leave. I think it's also important that AI reskilling and upskilling applies to every single employee in the organization, including the C-suite. This is just not for the frontline employees and the managers. And you also need to make sure that using Gen AI training, they have prompt engineering so they know how to ask the questions and to guide. You're going to guide them through leveraging AI's data. This one's important, which is you need to win the AI black box challenge. And in software engineering, the black box represents the information goes in, magic happens within the black box, and then the answer comes out of the black box. And you have no idea what happened in the black box. So I pose a series of questions for this. Do you understand the algorithms on this slide? Are they transparent? Can you do your job if you don't understand and trust the AI algorithms? And importantly, can you audit AI algorithms so that you are satisfied that they do what you authorize them to do? And that's actually a paper that I'm working on with a colleague. You must invest in AI technology infrastructure, and this will be huge, major hardware and software. And you can use management accounting's capital budgeting tools because you don't have unlimited resources for this task. You must measure the AI project ROI and ensure that your organization has the best AI tools. And there it is again, engage AI expert consultants as you're developing your own internal consultants. You also need to establish AI and data governance. Remember, I said that this is the Wild West. We don't expect people to know what they're supposed to do or to act in the best interest of your organization and your strategy and mission. So you need an AI board expert. In the US, the SEC requires a financial expert. You need to supplement that with an AI board expert. Ensure that you have an AI technical officer, a chief AI ethics officer, those AI experts. Document the policies and procedures and the internal controls. And I would also make sure that I have an AI intellectual property attorney on retainer in case you find an issue with somebody trying to pirate your data. Okay, I will close with a quote from the former CEO of IBM. AI will not replace humans, but those who use AI will replace those who don't. And management accountants must be involved in AI because they sit at the table when you develop that strategy, and they can monitor this and participate in ensuring that strategic value is achieved, that the AI usage is governed responsibly and enhances decision making without undermining trust, ethics, or financial integrity. And finally, tonight at 2300 in Italy, do you know what your AI algorithms are doing? I want to point you to ISACA, an international organization that is extremely active and has many AI resources. Excellent source. And if you have questions after this session, please be sure and email me with your questions and I will get back to you. So if anyone has any questions, I
Okay,
answer them.
Chris. Thank you very, very much for a very comprehensive presentation. You said a lot of things we have to think a lot about. In fact, for instance, my most concerns is about the lack of transparency of data
Yes,
after the calculation, after the algorithm. And
yes,
this is, according to me, the main role of the controller is to validate at the end. Okay, this number, okay, I
yeah,
trust on this number.
yes.
And okay, you in fact, this is one of the point. It's what is your further comments about the transparency?
Yeah, I think the transparency is probably the biggest problem. There are many problems.
Yeah.
If you want to rank them, we, as accountants, we need to certify that the information was gathered and processed with transparency. And if we have complicated algorithms, like the little example that I showed you with the robot, I wouldn't even know where to begin. And I studied software engineering. So this has to be addressed. And because those algorithms are software engineering, there's a software development process that takes place that defines the requirements and the specifications of those. So though that can be documented, but somebody has to know to require that documentation, have a change process if anything is adjusted in those algorithms, and an approval of that. And as I said, an area of interest for me now is how do you audit those? I have technical friends who have the sophisticated technical understanding of this, and I've invited them to do the research and write a paper on what we do as accountants and organizations to be able to sign off that this is transparent and that we can trust what these algorithms are doing with our data and our information.
Ok, thank you. Abbiamo altre domande? Alessio, Andrea?
Se io avrei una domanda, I have a question for Kristine. From what you say, should we consider AI an environment more than a technology?
That's a great question. It's an ecosystem, so I think you need to look at both parts of it. So I guess the word environment or ecosystem makes it more of a living, breathing human tool instead of the hard black and white technology. So I think you have to merge those two ideas together. Certainly, the technology is the engine that drives its power, but it can't do that in a vacuum. And I think that that's one of my big concerns about that technology, just turning it loose for the sake of the technology, because it has to coexist in the environment and the ecosystem.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Other questions? No? Okay. Chris, thank you again. Thank you again. And I think that, as you know, we have started with the technical team about how the AI act and the rules now, the ISO 42001 impact in controlling. And we're going to ask you some external support in our technical team. Maybe we'll be happy if we can gain your big knowledge and experience.
Yes, and I can reach out to my techie friends.
Okay. Okay, thank you again. Have a nice day for you. Good morning, full morning.
And
Okay.
enjoy the rest of your conference. And the sun has risen here.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye. Bye,
Bye.
Chris. Bye,
Bye-bye.
Chris. Bye.